Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we're starting a very special three-part series, The Fall of Sargon. Part 1, YouTube's skeptic community implodes. Sargon of Akkad is of course a popular YouTuber who covers social and political issues. He's been riding high as the top dog around here for a few years now, but I think he may have finally cracked. So when I went to cover it, I started making my typical Sargon is breaking down type thing, but it became far too long for just one video. So I decided to break it up into 3 or maybe 4 parts. Let's go ahead and get started with part 1.
Oh, the parody channel No Bullshit has started a new series called The Fall of Sargon, and this is a great video to show you guys what not to do when you're debunking someone's argument. Oh, and if he gets 5,000 likes, you'll get part 2, even though he's gonna release that anyways, so it's just another way to manipulate his audience. And yes, technically he isn't a parody channel, but after you watch this video, there's no difference. He might as well be, as this is just a complete joke.
Well, before we get into Sargon's inevitable fall from grace, we must set the stage a little bit here. Just a few weeks prior to that fateful day, there was a pretty big scandal unfolding within the YouTube skeptic community. Video creator and widely renowned skeptic Kraut&T was exposed for running a shady Discord server, aka a nerdy online chat room, where these liberal leftist losers chatted it up with YouTube scientists. Lame, I know. Well, that server started out with supposed good intentions, mainly debating the specific topic of race realism. They really wanted to try and defy the scientific fact that there are genetic differences between the races, through convoluted arguments and fake debates and slam videos. Not my cup of tea, not something I do in my free time, but hey, go ahead and knock yourselves out, boys.
I'll sum up his next couple of points because he takes a long time to explain it. He doesn't like Kraut's Discord server, which no one really does. The Kraut's Discord server was targeting the alt-right, which it was. And also he was doxxed apparently by Kraut's Discord server, which I don't want anyone to be doxxed. And he says this, which really should have been the entire video, but hey.
And to be fair, our protagonist Sargon of Akkad wasn't even all that involved in the actual chat rooms, if at all.
It's like that, or why I think this guy's a parody, as he knows that Sargon wasn't involved in this Kraut Discord server basically at all from his own words, and yet he makes an entire video, as you will see, blaming Sargon for the Kraut Discord server.
Before I get sidetracked too much, let's get back to Sargon and how he became a pawn in Kraut's new attack plan. You see, convoluted arguments and overly sourced videos were only getting their server so far, and Kraut's peeps were obviously fighting an uphill battle, since not only were they going up against the stone-cold fact that race realism is true, but they also had a rather lackluster crew of characters, who could barely cobble together 50,000 subscribers between them, let alone a good story or a joke or anything entertaining enough to make a decent video. Meanwhile, Kraut&T himself was the most popular there, having over 100,000 subscribers, which is pretty significant. But if we're being honest, his videos aren't the best either. They're all boring, dull, extra dry-witted, and oh my god, Kraut's voice is so annoying.
Did you just talk out your ass?
Shit likes to say that people's videos aren't entertaining, they're boring, dry-witted, and he takes that as fact, even though it's just his own opinion. As mate, I think you're incredibly dull. You're an idiot, which I will show, hilariously so. So we're laughing at you, not with you, for reference. And yeah, that's not an argument. So address their points instead of just, you know, the personal attacks. That'd be a good idea.
Because of this, the thought of actually putting yourself in the position of another cannot be formulated by the African Negro.
Kraut can't help but sound pompous, condescending, and just too full of himself. And this is certainly not the kind of content that can get traction outside of his own dedicated fan base.
You know, do you have some crystal ball that tells you the future? Like I said, I've never watched one of Kraut's videos. From what I heard, he's a freaking slime ball. But still, that is not an argument. You can't say that just because your personal opinion on him is this, that's why he will just never gain subs. He'll never grow. He'll never be able to gain any traction outside of his own small group. You have no idea if that is true or not. You're literally talking out your ass, bud.
So needless to say, Kraut needed some help. Re-enter Sargon of Akkad, the de facto leader of YouTube's skeptic community, and also Kraut's dear friend. Sporting a meaty 700,000 subscribers across 3 channels, Sargon had the perfect platform Kraut's server could utilize for their agenda, which by this time, a few weeks or maybe a month into this Discord server's life, things started to change on there, to say the least. It seemed the group had escalated things, and in addition to discussing and planning ways to combat the topic of race realism, realism, they also started to create hit lists of, quote, targets, to which they would gather additional information on. Their targets included other right-wingers and many friends of this show, like James Alsa, Lauren Southern, Faith Goldie, Brittany Pettibone, and many others.
Hey, Lauren Southern's a friend of this show? Ah, Lauren, I thought you would have better taste than this. This guy's a parody. And can we please get back to the fall of Sargon? If you wanted to make a video about Kraut's Discord server, why didn't you do that? But you titled this The Fall of Sargon Part 1. You said that you've got so much information that it had to be broken up into 4 videos. You could have just cut out everything you've said so far and then reduced the videos to say 3.
You idiot!
But one target held a special place in Kraut and T's heart, Coach Red Pill. Kraut and Coach were waging war at this time, in the tweets, the comments, and in the video arenas. They were debating not only race realism, but they were also devolving into personal attacks and insults, going at each other like a pack of wild dogs. And shit really hit the fan when Coach Red Pill called out Kraut's accent. Remember how I was saying Kraut talks so annoying and wanna be smart?
That sounds kind of dumb 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 dumb.
I also know someone that talks annoying and wanna be smart. And I'm doing a video on him right now. And editing is your friend, no bullshit. As you have done editing in this video, you could not have seen that clip and say, geez, that sounds intelligent. That really proves my point.
Well, I thought it was just a British accent made worse by this douchey pseudo-intellectual loser. But Coach pointed out that it was something far worse and more cringy.
I realized something almost immediately when I listened to him. He's faking his accent. You see, the kind of accent that he uses, or he tries to use rather, is known as RP, received pronunciation.
Kraut was faking his accent to sound smart. I had my suspicions, but Coach Red Pill really opened this thing up with that insight. Shout out to him and to Mr. Medicare, whose video first highlighted this point. I suggest checking out both their channels, links below.
I'm starting to think that this is just purely clickbait, as we are quite a bit into his video now and we still haven't got to how Sargon is falling or failing whatsoever. And yet he states that there is just so much content that he has to make tons of videos on it. You actually are a parody, aren't you, bud? I know you're now working with the alt-right because obviously no one else really wants you. But with the alt-right, I wouldn't follow this idiot, as he's just one of the worst types of YouTubers you can watch.
Particularly Medicare's series about this whole Kraut and T drama, which is far more extensive than these broad strokes I'm going over here. His series tells the full story of Kraut and T and his doxing server, while here, today, we're focusing more on Sargon of Akkad's part in the drama, which I also believe is the catalyst that sparks Sargon's eventual demise. That's coming up in part 2, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's go ahead and finish today's story first.
I think he's an idiot.
But we do get ahead of ourselves and actually get onto something that's relevant about Sargon. I don't want to waste my audience's time with a Kraut Discord explanation. We all know. I've never watched a single Kraut video and I know all about that scenario. So if you don't get to him soon, I'm going to have to start rapidly cutting the footage. Because I don't want to waste my audience's time with stuff that they already know about. You clickbait artists.
But call it what you will, Kraut did have information he dug up about Coach, and he intended to use it maliciously by making him look badder, smearing him in videos. And how Kraut did that was this. He got a friend of a friend to post that private info on a website called Kiwi Farms, and then he sparked a controversy between Sargon and Coach Red Pill, which in turn led Sargon to use that Kiwi Farms article to make a video slamming Coach Red Pill himself. This little bait and switch move seemingly worked out for everyone. Kraut got his target attacked without any blame on him for both finding the info and posting it online, and on Sargon's side, he got to use that juicy information in his response video. He could slam Coach with his private, supposedly damning information without fear of blowback about doxing because he found it on Kiwi Farms.
But many other YouTubers use that same information to cover the scenario. You're acting like Sargon and Kraut had a plan together where Sargon gets plausible deniability and Kraut gets to destroy his enemy. I don't think it was like that at all. Plus, you're acting like they're joined at the hip. Sargon's a busy guy, talks to a lot of people, does very in-depth videos. I don't think he has a lot of time to worry about Kraut's Discord server when it was active.
At the end of the day, Sargon stuck by his buddy Kraut for as long as he could, even looking the other way and keeping to himself when he discovered the server was doing all this shady shit. Eventually though, Sargon had to eject himself completely from the sinking ship, that is, the skeptic community. Sargon disavowed Kraut completely, and almost made it out of this drama without a scratch on him, while Kraut and T and all his little minions, they went down in flames. But Sargon appeared to get out of the skeptic implosion scot-free. The thing is though, for those of us paying attention closely, we could see the chink in his armor. No, not that kind of chink. Sargon was okay. He wasn't totally damaged, but he appeared to have a few cracks in his liberal smart guy facade.
Idiots are fun. No wonder every village wants one.
Out your ass, once again, no bullshit. You have no idea if Sargon is cracking or not, and just saying comments like, well, if you were paying attention, you would notice that there are chinks in Sargon's armor. Sargon's not a perfect person. He gets annoyed sometimes, he makes mistakes, he will even lose debates. I know, but that doesn't mean he's cracking or anything like that. This is exactly like you saying that no one, like Kraut with Kraut's personality, could gain subs outside of his tiny community. You are just making up shit out of your freaking ass. That's all you're doing here. Mr. Parody Channel.
And at the time, this was late December at the time, I wasn't sure how bad it was for Sargon, but now I could truly see. Sargon of Akkad was starting to unravel before our very eyes. In the upcoming part 2, we'll go over Sargon's next big mistake, thinking he could take on the alt-right himself. You'd think he would have been smart enough to avoid this after seeing Kraut fail so hard at doing the same thing, but ego is a hell of a drug. Tune in next week for The Fall of Sargon Part 2, The Alt-Right Strikes Back. With a renewed sense of confidence and perhaps a bit of arrogance, Sargon decides to enter into debate with Richard Spencer, an actual smart person.
We want to create an elite class of highly educated, a kind of warrior guardian class of people who would maintain this order. This is what we have now. The fact that you are laughing because you cannot see what is...
That's why channels like No Bullshit really piss me off. This is pure clickbait. He states that he has a lot of information on Sargon, so much in fact that he has to make 3 or 4 parts, and part 1 is pure clickbait, in which he makes statements such as, well, if you're in the know, then you can see the chinks in Sargon's armor, in which there is nothing to show that. Sargon's not a perfect person. He makes mistakes sometimes. He may get annoyed sometimes. But you titled this The Fall of Sargon, and you have just guilt by association. That's your entire video. And you have 200,000 plus subs, and you're a complete moron that says dumb shit like this.
Remember how I was saying Kraut talks so annoying and want to be smart? And needless to say, Sargon goes down like Joe Glass in the first round of Punch-Out. And this loss results in Sargon retreating further into his hug box. Sargon lost and became angry, and Sargon wanted revenge. We're going to get into all that in part 2 next Monday, a week from now.
So there are now going to be 4 dicks in the room. What's up?
Should have done No Bullshit is you should have done a tiny summary at the start about the Kraut scenario, and then moved on to what you had on Sargon, and then it wouldn't just be complete clickbait. As all you've done is just guilt by association, and you've said he's falling apart because you think so, because you're paying attention. Oh, we can see the chinks in his armor, even though you're just making this up completely. And you've given nothing to Sargon to work with, to actually improve. Maybe if he actually is falling apart, how is he going to stop himself from watching a video? Because you give him nothing. You just make up random statements that you can't prove whatsoever. It's just ridiculous.
And have a word or two with yours truly. Lots of fun stuff coming up on No Bullshit this week, so stay tuned and thanks again for watching. Lastly, I really hope you liked our new series, The Fall of Sargon. If you did, give us a like and comment. Comment your thoughts below on the whole Kraut and T doxing server drama. What do you think about these vile tactics the skeptic community got caught using? Do you think Sargon should have gotten more blame for knowing all this was going on? And to be fair, our protagonist Sargon of Akkad wasn't even all that involved in the actual chat rooms, if at all, and not saying or doing anything, really. And if you've been following this situation live in the wild, like I have, where do you think this story is going to go next? I think if you've already watched Sargon's debate with Spencer, you probably have a good idea. If not, just you wait. We're going to get into all that in part 2 next week.
Relevant information to Sargon of Akkad, or if he actually makes any sort of valid argument. But if it's just pure clickbait again, I'm not going to bother. I was using this video as sort of an example of for small YouTubers like myself on what not to do, as pulling just statements out of your ass and guilt by association is not an argument. You're not proving anything. You're just embarrassing yourself. And I've spent a couple of days on the outro. I'm trying to get the clips through copyright so I can show you guys on the video projects that I'm working on. And it's not going too well, so I'll keep trying. But let me know what you think, if it looks good, if it doesn't. I'd love to hear your feedback. Also, I just want to thank once again Mr. Problematic for this fantastic outro. He does music, covers topics. Check out his channel in the description below. Thank you to my first Patreon, Stefan Dreyer. You're a legend, mate. I'm going to do my first Patreon live stream in a couple of days. So, yeah, I'll try and contact you, Stefan, so I'm not talking to myself. But anyway, as always, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you all later.
A joke.
Remember how I was saying Kraut talks so annoying and wanna be smart?